The Kettleers, after a 2-game successful road trip, are back at home at Lowell Park for 2 more games against Western Division foes. In yesterday's game against Wareham, the Kettleers were able to retake the Western Division lead. My name is Josh Rothstein. I'm joined by Will Kraus and Ben Gainsboro. It was a successful road trip, as I said. The offense and the bats really came to play, especially last night. But first, on Sunday at Bourne, the offense was there too. The pitching started off well, got a little iffy late, but they were able to hold on, Will.
The Kettleers defeated the Bourne Braves 8-6 at Bourne on Sunday night. Zachary McCamley got the start, went an impressive 4 innings, giving up just 1 run, which brought his ERA down to 2.34 on the season. It was the 5th inning that was the big inning for the Kettleers on Sunday night. They scored 6 runs in the inning, starting off with what was technically a stolen base of home by Joey Loperfido as Bourne tried to pick him off at third, but he avoided the tag and ended up scoring the first run to tie the game at 1. Nick Gonzalez would knock in the second run, and then for the third and fourth runs, probably the at-bat of the season, really, for the Kettleers by Aubrey Major, who pinch hit from the right side as he's a switch hitter and just fouled off pitch after pitch. It was a 13-pitch at-bat and fouled off 7 pitches before doubling down the left field line to put Kettuit up 4-1. Parker Chavers would knock in the next 2 runs in the inning to put Kettuit up 6-1, and Kettuit really wouldn't look back from there. Casey Schmidt also had another great performance. He's been very versatile all season long, pitching in very pressure scenarios for Coach Mike Roberts. He came in with runners in scoring position and ended up closing the game out. It got a little bit rocky in the 9th inning as Bourne would score 3 and even get the tying run up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th, but Casey Schmidt ended up striking out Will Greer to end the game. Casey Schmidt's play defensively especially was described as world-class by Coach Mike Roberts as he made 2 fantastic diving plays to his right at third base earlier in the game before firing to first to record 2 great outs. So it was a really great win for Kettuit on Sunday, 8-6. And then also they won yesterday at Wareham. Here's Ben with a little bit of a recap for that game.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, if you were just watching these last 2 games on the road, you would think Casey Schmidt had hit 50 RBI on the season. He's just on an absolute tear. Had 5 RBI last night against Wareham en route to an 11-5 victory. And this was such a different game from the first time Kettuit traveled to Wareham, which was more of a pitcher's grind. It was a less than 2-hour game, which we basically haven't seen on the Cape League that first game. Only 1 run and 7 combined hits in that game. The last game, last night, it was 11-5, and there were more than 20 hits combined for the 2 teams. Getting the start for Kettuit was Chris Farrell, and it was nice to see him get back on track, because he really hasn't had a great start since that first start of the season. He pitched 3 innings, and then Matt Moore pitched 3 innings, and then Richard Brereton pitched 3 innings, so we saw that 3-3-3 that Mike Roberts likes to go to. Schmidt was the key offensively with a home run and a double, but also Mason McWhorter returned from a sickness. He hadn't played in a week, and he looked like he didn't even miss a step. He had 2 doubles, a couple RBI, and overall it was just a very fruitful game offensively for Kettuit. The pitching staff was solid, and they were able to pass Wareham, who was first place in the West coming into that game, and now Kettuit's first place in the West. And I caught up with Mike Roberts after the game, and here's that.
Okay.
It's so weird for me now that Ben holds it like this.
Oh, you got.
So the offense has been red hot in these past 2 games, 8 against Bourne, another 11 tonight. What is most impressive with that recent stretch?
Well, I think the guys are coming to work on their swing, and when guys continue to come early because they want to be there, not because it's coach motivated, it's self-motivated. As I tell our little campers every morning, hey, make your bed, man, self-motivated, not mom-motivated. You know, these guys are very self-motivated and working on it. You know, and again, it's not 9 guys every night, without a doubt. And as I told them, some guys go home with their head up and some guys go home with their head down. But again, when we wake up in the morning, it's a we thing. It's we. Okay, it's not an I thing. And so we bounce back and we work at this together. But they've really swung the bat well, and last night at Bourne and tonight. So I can't do anything but congratulate them for their effort, for their work, and for their competitiveness in the ball game.
You have some hard throwers in your bullpen, Kyle Nicholas, Beckway, these kind of guys. Matt Moore doesn't throw as hard as those guys. What makes him so hard to hit?
Well, he hasn't been hard to hit until tonight, and Matt knows that. Tonight was the best outing of the year for Farrell, Moore, and Brereton. That really did outstanding job. I was thrilled against. They have 8 left-handed hitters. I think they're still leading the league in hitting. So I was just really pleased with the 3 pitchers that went out there tonight. You ask about Matt. I thought as we spoke when he came off the field for his final inning, he kept his fingers behind the baseball tonight. And when he keeps his fingers behind the baseball, he has pretty good stuff. When those fingers get on the side, it has a tendency to run in that first base box too much, and it hurts him. But tonight he stayed behind the baseball, and he was very effective.
There was an early moment in the game when Adam Oviedo hit a fielder's choice that moved a runner along, and you were very supportive when he was coming off the field. What impressed you with that hit? What impressed you with that at bat?
Well, Adam's working on Brian, my son, helped him some while he was here last week, and Adam's trying to kind of get his swing much more consistent in a particular pattern, a little bit more downward, hit the ball up the middle, and he didn't have a good at bat, and then he came back and made an adjustment. And that's what hitters that are improving must do. They have to make in-game adjustments. And sometimes, it's just moving runners up a base. And I think the ball you're talking about is the ball he hit to third base, and he hit it the correct way, hit it really well. So, again, it's not always getting a base hit a lot of times. It's hitting the ball well, maybe in your second at bat, to prepare yourself for a really good third at bat.
Meanwhile, today's opponents, the Bourne Braves, are coming off a spanking of the Falmouth Commodores. They beat them by 2 touchdowns yesterday, 14-0. It was capped off in the 8th inning, a grand slam for Jackson Greer, his first home run of the season. And Mac Ladver continued to dominate on the mound. 7 more shutout innings. He lowered his league-low ERA to 0.82. It snapped a 3-game losing streak for the Braves, who are now 5 points up on the 5th place Hyannis Harbor Hawks for that all-important last spot in the East and the West division, as the top 4 teams do make the playoffs. Stats-wise, Bourne on offense, they don't really produce that much in the terms of RBIs and home runs. They're last in the league in both those categories. However, they are patient at the plate with the 2nd most walks in the league, and it's quite the opposite on the mound. They don't walk a lot of guys, but they don't strike out a lot of guys either. So they're going to give you pitches to hit, and they're going to make their defense do the work. And it has paid off. Their defense is best in the league, 2nd fewest errors in the league. So the pitchers allow their opponents to put the ball in play for the most part. The defense behind them makes the plays. So it'll be an interesting matchup to watch as we get closer to first pitch. We'll now throw it up to Sam Niederman and R.M. Layton, our Kettleers broadcasters, for their thoughts pregame, as well as Coach Mike Roberts' thoughts pregame.